Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Mr. Latour, further evidence for the state?
Yes, Your Honor. At this time, the state would call Tyler Henderson.
Sir, if you would please place your left hand on the Bible and raise your right. Sir, do you solemnly swear the testimony you give before this court shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you.
Mr. Latour?
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Henderson, will you tell the jury your name and who you are?
Tyler Henderson. I work with the Person County DA's office.
You're currently employed with Person County DA's office?
Yes, sir.
How are you employed there?
DA investigator.
What's a DA investigator do, or what do you do as a DA investigator?
Pretty much intake of felony files. You go through felony files.
Slide a little closer to that microphone. I think that'll be better.
Intake of felony files. You put them together, interface with law enforcement and things of that nature.
Okay, when you say interface with law enforcement, what do you mean?
Like if we're missing discovery and things like that, I'd get up with usually the investigating officer and get the required documents I need from them.
How long have you been in the Person County DA's office?
2011.
What was your job before you were in the Person County DA's office?
I worked as a legal assistant for Mr. Bradsher.
How long were you a legal assistant for Mr. Bradsher?
Maybe starting in 2006.
Okay. Until he was elected DA?
Yes, sir.
And that would have been for the first time?
2011, I believe.
Okay. Before you worked as a legal assistant for Mr. Bradsher, I guess we should clarify because that could mean one of two things. Are you saying you were a legal assistant for Mr. Bradsher when he was in private practice?
Yes, sir.
Not when he was in the DA's office?
Correct.
All right. And before you were his legal assistant in private practice, what'd you do?
I was in the Marine Corps.
Now, how did you come to know Mr. Bradsher?
Through a mutual friend.
Okay. Is that how you got the job? Or were made aware of the job, should I say?
Yes, I believe she had worked with him, or was still working with him at the time, but I think she may have been leaving, so a spot was opening up or something like that.
And when that was going on, did you apply?
Yes, I went in for an interview.
Okay. And when you did that, got hired in 2006 sometime?
I think so.
Okay. Now, in 2011, you came into the DA's office.
Yes, sir.
And did you come in as an investigator?
No, sir.
What did you come in as?
VWLA.
Which is what?
Victim Witness Legal Assistant.
And did you stay in that role for a period of time?
Yes, sir.
And during the course of your employment with Mr. Bradsher as the Victim Witness Legal Assistant, what were your roles?
I was mainly assigned to district court as well as handling victim impact statements, anything to do with victim-related cases in district court, and things like that.
Now, we've heard some testimony that Mr. Bradsher has or at the time had two counties, Caswell and Person.
Yes, sir.
Were you only in Person, or did you split time between the two?
I was only in Caswell for close to a year, maybe.
When was that?
Starting in 2011.
So did you start out in Caswell County?
Yes, sir.
All right. And so you were there for about a year.
Probably close to it, I think.
Okay. And so then around 2012 or so,
Came back to Person.
you came back to Person?
Yes, sir.
And have been in Person ever since?
Yes, sir.
Did your role change with the office when you left Caswell County and went to Person County?
No, sir.
Still, as you said, a VWLA or Victim Witness Legal Assistant.
Yes, sir.
Now, as a Victim Witness Legal Assistant in Person County, who did you have one DA that you were mainly assigned to, or were there multiple people that you would work with?
Multiple ADAs.
And at some point during your group or during your employment with the defendant, did you attend law school?
Yes, sir.
Where did you attend law school?
Central.
And how did that arrangement work?
Like, how do you mean?
Going to law? Were you going full time?
Yes, sir.
Were you going during the day or at night?
During the day.
Okay. So if you're employed by Mr. Bradsher, but you're going to law school during the day, how did you make that work?
I'd moved to part-time. I think the law school or ABA standards, whatever it's called, is you can only work 20 hours.
Okay. Now, when you went 20 hour, when you moved from full-time to part-time, were you a Beacon employee? Did you have to input time through Beacon?
Yes, sir.
Okay. We've heard a lot of testimony about Beacon and releasing time and everything. Who released your time?
Been Gilpeed.
I'm sorry?
Gilpeed.
Miss Peed?
Yes.
While you're working, did you finish law school?
No, sir.
Okay. What year would it have been that you decided, strike all of that, I'm sorry. You're in law school, you decide that you're not going to finish law school for whatever reason. Do you stay employed with Mr. Bradsher's office?
Yes, sir.
And do you then switch back to full-time, or do you stay part-time?
When I ended my law school, I was still part-time.
How long did you stay part-time?
I couldn't tell you. It'd be a couple of months.
In September of 2014, did you stay part-time, or is that when you went back to full-time?
That might have been when I went back to full-time.
Okay. Around that time?
Probably.
Okay. When you went back to full-time, did you stay in Person County?
Yes, sir.
And we have, may I approach the clerk, Your Honor?
Yes.
If I may approach the witness, Your Honor.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm going to show you what's previously been introduced as State's Exhibit 1. You may not have ever seen that, but will you kind of take a look at that for a moment?
Okay.
Now, having looked at that, it references you in this document, right?
Yes, sir.
And it's talking about some salary changes.
Yes, sir.
correct? And that email is from December 17th of 2014. Did that sound right?
I didn't even look at the day, but sure.
Okay.
I believe you.
I don't know what you said.
That's, yes.
Will you pull them? I think the jury might be having a hard time hearing you too, so I'm sorry. At some point, though, around 2014, the end of that, into 2015, you kind of got a pay raise, right?
Yes, it was pretty much increased back to what I was originally making.
Right. So from when you went from part-time to full-time, it says that you were getting an increase of 26.5% back to where you were.
Right.
Okay. Now, while you're working in the Person County DA's office, do you at any point come into contact with Cindy Blitzer?
While I'm still employed under 9A or?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. And would that have been in early 2015? Sound right?
Yeah, sure. I don't know.
Okay. How did you come into contact with her?
I think she may have stopped by the person office. I think I just may have seen her, and I think I saw her in the casual office working over there, and then saw her at an office function, or, well, a function after hours.
Okay. At this time, when you're seeing her, do you know if she's employed by the defendant?
It wasn't until I think I saw her at the person office. I think I may have been notified about it or that something was happening.
Okay. You, at some point, come to know that she works for your office.
Yes.
Your office being the Person Caswell County District Attorney's office.
Yes, sir.
And do you see her there a lot?
No.
Are you made aware, or are you aware of this situation in which Pam Bradsher and Cindy Bradsher can't work for their husbands for whatever reason?
No.
Okay. Are you ever made aware of that?
Maybe later, but I don't know when.
Okay. At some point, well, did you know Pam Bradsher?
Yes.
Did you used to see Pam Bradsher around the office?
Yes.
At some point, do you stop seeing Pam Bradsher around the office?
Yes.
And are you made aware at that point that she doesn't work for you guys anymore?
Yes.
And is this when you find out about Cindy working for you?
Somewhere around that point, yeah.
All right. Around that same
Yeah.
time frame?
Yes, sir.
Okay. You go to work every day there, right?
Yes, sir.
And by every day, I mean weekdays,
Yes, sir.
regular business hours, 9 to 5 kind of deal.
Yes, sir.
And you don't see Cindy other than maybe a handful of times at the beginning. Is that what you're saying? Cindy Blitzer?
Yeah, maybe 2 or 3 times.
Okay. At some point, are you made aware that Pam Bradsher has decided to no longer work for any district attorney's office?
Like when she changes jobs to PCC?
Correct.
Yes.
Okay. How do you become aware that she's changed jobs to PCC?
Mr. Bradsher approached me.
And when he approached you, what did he say to you?
He said that Pam was leaving the office to go into a job at PCC, and that if I wanted to slide into her position.
Well, at that time, who's Pam working for? I know that might be a little odd. Before she leaves for PCC, where's this position that you're being asked if you want to slide into?
In Rockingham.
All right. What was your reaction to that?
I said, sure.
Okay. Where do you live?
Roxborough,
Which is in what county?
Person County.
When you agree to make this move over to Rockingham County, what's your understanding about where you'll be working?
Person County.
And what are you told about that, or are you told anything other than you'll take this job and still work in Person County?
I just go into Pam's job and just continue on from what she was doing.
Okay. What kind of job did she have?
She had was pretty much, doing the victim witness or VIS statements, victim impact statements, inputting file or witnesses for felony files, and things like that.
In which county?
Person County.
Okay, so Pam is working or employed by Rockingham County, but she's doing Person County work?
Yes.
Okay. So is your understanding that you'll be employed by Rockingham County, but you'll also be doing Person County work?
Yes.
If you thought that you were going to have to work in Rockingham County and commute, would you have taken that job?
Probably not.
Did Mr. Bradsher let you know that you wouldn't have to go to Rockingham County?
No. He said I may have to go over there every once in a while if they needed me for something.
Okay. When you take that job, do you know if it's a victim witness legal assistant or an investigator spot?
I thought it might be the investigator spot.
Well, you thought that. Did it end up being that?
No.
What did it end up being?
The VWLA spot.
Did that make a difference to you?
Not really. It's the same thing.
Okay. When you go to this new job in Rockingham County, do you get another pay raise?
Yes.
All right. And when you accept that job, do you have to go to Rockingham County?
Yes.
What do you do when you go to Rockingham County?
I had to meet with Melinda.
Okay, and what did you do when you met with Melinda?
Fill out my paperwork, my transfer.
All right. Once you fill out the paperwork, what do you do?
Meet with Craig, and he said he pretty much, I think he just...
Don't tell me what he said, but
Oh.
you meet...
I met with Craig.
Okay.
And then left from there.
All right, and when you left from there, where did you go?
Person County.
When you went to Person County, had anything changed for you?
Other than I didn't do district court anymore, and then I started picking up felony files and a form that Pam had brought over. As well, she started brought over their the way they did victim impact statements and things like that. So basically, I took Rockingham's form and transformed it into our own form, and then started going through the digital discovery process of trying to get law enforcement involved.
Okay. Now this form, this discovery form and victim impact statement form that you convert to your own form, how long does that take you to do?
The form itself, maybe to work out, all the kinks and everything like that, maybe close to a month.
Okay. Are you working on that form nonstop for a month?
For the most part. It's just it's numerous pages.
Okay. But when you're working on that form and changing that form, are you changing it for Rockingham County or are you changing it for Person County?
Person County.
Okay. And the felony files and discovery that you're working on, is that Rockingham felony files and discovery or is that Person County files and discovery?
Person County.
Do you, during the regular course of your days that you're employed there, do you have to go over to Rockingham County?
No, sir.
At some point, well, let me ask you this. While you had that job in Rockingham County, do you know how many times total you went to Rockingham County?
A handful of times, 4 or 5 times maybe.
Okay, 4 or 5 times total?
Yes, sir.
Does that include the time that you went over there to sign the paperwork?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Do you remember maybe when the second time that you went over there was?
Shockley file, I think.
Okay. Shockley file, is that when you went over with the defendant to collect that file?
Yes, sir.
All right. And when you go over to Rockingham County to collect the file, describe that Shockley file for us.
As in
size-wise.
Like a storage container size.
Okay. A lot of paperwork?
Yes, sir.
A lot of videos?
Yes, sir.
A lot of reports and things like that?
Yes, sir.
Did you have to go through that file?
Yes, sir.
take you a long time? You work on it a lot, or was it just kind of?
I think I worked on it for a couple weeks or so, and then kind of discontinued working on it for a while, and every once in a while to go back and do something with it. But other than that, it was pretty much, I mean, when we got it, it was put together, but I just had to rearrange it to suit our needs.
Right. It was put together for one person. You had to change it to put it together the way somebody else would want to put it together.
Right.
Got it. When you go there to take that file, do you talk? Is that a time that you see Cindy Blitzer?
Yes, sir.
And do you have a conversation with Cindy Blitzer?
Yes, sir.
What do you guys talk about?
The Shockley file.
And can you tell us kind of what, I don't, if you remember verbatim, fine. If you don't remember, just kind of what that conversation was about?
Basically about what she had done, her notes that she had taken, her knowledge of the injuries to the baby, and basically, you know, what she had done so far in the file.
A case update.
Yes, sir.
Kind of catching you up to speed sort of thing?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Then how long are you over there? Approximately.
A few hours, maybe.
Okay. After you're done there, where do you go?
Back to Person County. Or, I'm sorry, back to Caswell County.
Okay. Why'd you go to Caswell County?
Dropped the file off there.
Why would you drop the file off in Caswell County?
Closer to Rockingham, I guess.
Okay. Do you know who was going to work on the file once it was in Caswell County?
Me.
Was there a lawyer involved?
Mr. Bradsher.
All right. The two of you were going to work on the file
Yes,
together.
and probably another legal assistant too.
Okay. Not Jay Stoltz.
No.
Do you know Jay Stoltz?
Yes, sir.
All right. Did you work with Jay Stoltz?
Yes, sir.
A lot?
I mean, he was another ADA in the office, so I would say, you know, normal.
Okay. I mean,
normal legal assistant work with him. If he needed something, I'd go get it for him.
okay, just like you would anybody else.
Yes, sir.
All right. Not that you were assigned to him or anything like that.
Correct.
Okay. So now you're back in Caswell County with the file. Do you stay in Caswell County to continue working on that, or do you go back to Person County?
We stayed in Caswell County that day.
All right. After that day, do you kind of stick around Caswell, or are you back in Person, or do you go to Rockingham?
Went home after Caswell County.
Okay, well, I don't mean that day. I just mean like the following days.
I couldn't tell you.
All right. Do you remember if you went to Rockingham and did any work for Rockingham there?
No, sir.
You don't remember, or you didn't do that?
No, I didn't do that.
Okay. Do you remember the next time that you have to go to Rockingham County?
Went for the Shockley plea.
Okay. So there was a plea in that case, and you attended the plea?
Yes, sir.
All right. And that was done in the Rockingham County Courthouse because it was a Rockingham County case?
Correct.
Okay. You didn't do that plea in Caswell County or something?
No, sir.
Okay. While you were there, do you remember if you did any Rockingham County work?
No, sir.
Again, when you say no, you
No.
didn't do it or you don't remember?
Did not do it.
Okay. When you go back, presumably then to, not necessarily that day, but for the days to come, either Person or Caswell County?
Yeah, I don't know which one now.
Okay. Do you go back to Rockingham County ever again?
Yes, sir.
What's the next time that you go back to Rockingham County?
After the SBI either came to the office or called the office.
And when the SBI comes to, do you know when that would have been?
I don't.
Okay. When the SBI either came or called the office, what office are you referring to?
Person County.
How were you made aware that the SBI had either stopped by or telephoned the Person County DA's office?
Mr. Bradsher informed me.
Can you tell us about that conversation?
He came to me and said that the SBI had either came or called, I can't remember which one, and that to go to Rockingham County and let Craig know that the SBI will need to speak with his wife.
Okay. And how did he tell you that? I mean, what were his words?
I don't know the exact words. Just that was pretty much the context of the conversation.
Okay. Well, what did you do then?
Drove to Rockingham County.
Did you have Craig Blitzer's telephone number?
Yes.
Did you call him?
I think may have called the office or something like that, but they said he was in BLET training.
All right. And so you go to Rockingham County,
Yes.
and when you get to Rockingham County, do you talk to Craig Blitzer?
Eventually, yes.
All right. And when you talk to Craig Blitzer, what do you tell him?
I tell him that Wallace sent me to inform you that your wife is under investigation along with our office and that the SBI needs to speak with her.
May I approach the witness, Your Honor?
Yes.
What number am I on? I know we kind of talked for a second about what the defendant told you about going over to Rockingham County. And you said he told you that you needed to go over there. Did he tell you anything else?
Who?
Wallace Bradsher.
Did he tell me to do? Oh, just not to leave until I get back,
Okay.
or
so-
until I contact him.
Okay. I'm going to show you what I've marked for identification purposes as State's Exhibit 12, if you'll just take a moment. Read over that. I read that. Do you recall if you said anything? What Mr. Bradsher said to you? And I know you've already kind of told us this, but anything else that he said to you? What was the conversation between you and Mr. Bradsher?
He just said that he is your boss, so go let him know, basically.
Okay. Well, what was the other part that you said about don't leave without telling him?
Yeah, don't leave without telling him.
Okay. And so you went there
Yes, sir.
and you told him.
Yes, sir.
All right. And after you told him, what'd you do?
Went back to Person County.
Okay. And when you went back to Person County, what'd you do?
Went to work.
All right. Did you tell the defendant that you talked to Craig Blitzer?
Sure I did, but I don't remember. I may have just said, hey, yeah, I got him. So
All right. Do you ever go back to Rockingham County again for while you're employed for Rockingham County by Rockingham County?
just maybe to turn in my badge before I got transferred back.
All right. Do you recall when you got transferred back?
Maybe the end of 2016. I'm not sure.
Okay, and I'm not trying to hold you to a specific date. I know I'm asking you about something for a long time ago. Just generally, if you have an idea as to when it was.
It may have been towards the latter part of the year.
Okay. October, November, December, or somewhere around in there of 2016?
Yes, sir, I think so.
Okay. When you come back to Person County for employment to be hired by that DA's office, what type of work are you doing then?
When I transferred back, went to the DA investigator spot that I'm in now.
Okay. And any type of pay increase come with that?
Yeah, I think it went to maybe 48. I'm not sure. I can't remember what it was on the form when I signed.
Okay, I'm not asking you to tell me what your salary is now or anything like that, but you know that it, or did it increase when you came back from the Rockingham County employment to Person County employment, changing from VWLA to investigator?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I don't think I have any other questions at this time, Your Honor.
Cross-examination, Mr. Bradsher.
Yes, Your Honor. Could I get that statement? Sorry, I do that all the time.
No, I did look. That's not it, 'cause that one's highlighted. Did I leave it up there?
I don't see it.
It's in my file. There it is. I apologize.
Mr. Henderson, how are you doing?
Good.
When you met with Mr. Ford, who was the previous special prosecutor here, you talked to him about the incident in this case, is that right?
Yes.
On States 12, it has a notation that you indicated to him that I directed you to go tell Craig Blitzer that the SBI was investigating Cindy Blitzer's employment as soon as it was learned by the Person County District Attorney's Office. Wallace said, "He's your boss, you need to go tell him. Don't leave there without telling him." Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. Now, do you recall when the SBI, the day the SBI came to interview me?
I don't remember the exact date, but I do recall, yes.
And do you recall that after talking to me, the SBI went down and talked with Luann Martin?
Yes.
Okay. And then do you recall they talked to Gail Peed?
Yes.
And then in the Person County office, as you go from Gail Peed's office towards Holly McAdams' office, where would your office have been?
Right next door to hers.
Okay. And they went and talked to Holly McAdams, is that right?
Yes.
Okay. Now, as to my statement to the SBI, you can't say at this point, but did the SBI talk to you that day?
No, sir.
All right. And do you know if they talked to anybody else?
That day, I don't know if they did or not.
All right. There is no question to this jury that you affirm to them that you work every hour that you put in Beacon. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
You are a Marine, in fact, a Desert Storm veteran. Is that right? I'm sorry, that was my error. Not Desert Shield, Desert Storm, I'm sorry. Iraqi war veteran.
Yes.
Okay. A veteran from the Iraqi war. And you had worked with me from 2006 to 2011 in private practice. Is that right?
Yes.
When you went into this new role in around August of 2015?
Yes.
Okay. Can you tell the jury, in addition, well, let's start with this form that you're talking about from Rockingham County. Can you describe what that is about?
The form is like a prosecution summary checklist form that we would have law enforcement fill out to attach with their felony file. It pretty much helps us just to look at the face of the file and just kind of be able to get the summary instead of having to dig through the whole entire file.
And can you describe to the jury why it would take a month to develop this particular form for the purpose that it was designed for?
I had to add in our own stuff, and the form was a PDF fillable form, so I had to basically put in different terms and things. Basically, just, it's hard to explain, but it's just, there's a lot of things that went into a fillable form to make it able to work.
And during this time frame, were you and I working on developing a digital system that would not only include receiving all materials digitally, but then being able to send them out digitally as well?
Correct.
And in addition to that, were we doing planning and development for a paperless office?
Yes, sir.
All right. And so in this process, do you recall over the course of this year us meeting with the various law enforcement agencies to try and implement this new system?
Yes, sir.
You call specifically you and I meeting with the Person County Sheriff and his top command about this process of filling out this new form and transmitting all of their discovery digitally to the DA's office.
Yes, sir.
All right. And as we were in that discussion, can you tell the jury that the limitations of transferring that certain information of like drug videos?
The DAS system right now cannot hold videos. That's
Right.
basically the only limitation. Or, I'm sorry, video or audio.
So in fact, about how long of a video can you transmit through the current AOC DAS system?
None.
Okay. Do you recall you speaking and working with the Sheriff's Department, their command, about establishing some type of Dropbox or interface with their system so that they could upload undercover drug buys and all these videos that wouldn't go through the normal DAS system, so that we could have a digital link between Sheriff's Department and the DA's office?
Yes.
All right. And Kevin Crabtree with the Sheriff's Department is their tech guy, is that right?
I went through Michael Clark.
Okay. An even smarter guy. And isn't it true that you are the smartest computer guy the DA's office have worked with?
I don't know about that, but
All right. But you continue to work on this process with the PD as well, is that
correct.
right? I know Mr. Latour taking a little back on taking a month on this form, but was there a purpose for the form to create detail where law enforcement could plug in digitally everything that the DA's office would need in order to evaluate and process that case?
It was just a form that was all electronic. They didn't have to have our original paper checklist or whatever, so they could attach. Because I think their reports and everything were already on the computer, so they could just attach whatever they had to this form. We wouldn't have to worry about scanning our original form.
And as you started integrating this system with the Person County law enforcement agencies, did problems arise that you had to work out?
Yes.
Okay. And was it trial and error as you continued to process their discovery and find ways to transmit all of that digitally to Person County?
Yes, it was mainly the error portion was with the form itself. Sometimes they needed things added to it or stuff taken off, and we just kind of tweak it.
So the prototype for the form that you spent a month developing started with a smaller form by Rockingham County, is that right?
No, Rockingham County's form may have been a bit larger.
Okay, so you modified it from Rockingham's form.
Yes.
Now, within a year, Person County and Roxborough Police Department had become fully on board with that new system, is that right?
Yes.
And in fact, in Person County, when you turn the corner on 2017, did the Person County office go to paperless files.
Yes.
And starting off in its infancy, did that have some things that needed to be tweaked as you went from paper files to receiving the evidence digitally, being able to transmit it to defense lawyers digitally, and having paperless files for the DA's office?
Yes.
All right. Once that started in person, did you then move over to Caswell to try and complete this new system?
Yes.
All right. And as you went to Caswell, when you attempted to, and that was at my direction, is that right?
Yes.
And do you recall me going over to the Caswell Sheriff's Department in July of 2017 to attempt to set up a time for their personnel to meet with you and learn the system?
I don't specifically recall. You may have. I mean, it's certainly possible. I just remember the emails that I sent.
All right. And then you actually physically came to the Caswell office, didn't you? And the point of contact the Sheriff's Department said you were to meet with was Melissa Poole. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. And then as you start to interface with Melissa Poole, isn't it true that as you set up appointments to meet with her to start this system with Caswell, that she had 2 or 3 delays? That she would say she was busy, she had meetings, she put you off for a couple of weeks?
Yeah, I think she might have had training or something like that.
All right. And then in October, did you continue to try to meet with them to develop the discovery?
I don't know a specific month, but there might have been a couple more times that I sent emails, or I think one time you had me send the security forms and the thumb drive with the form on it, so for them to review and look at.
All right, that was my next part. At some point when there continued to be delays in either October or November, did I direct you to prepare a how-to form to implement this digital system for the Caswell County Sheriff's Department?
Yes.
All right. And so did you then send that?
Yes, I sent the instruction manual
Okay.
that provided by AOC.
All right. And then after we sent the how-to, did you ever get any response that the Caswell County Sheriff's Department was going to meet with you and implement this system?
No.
So after sending the how-to, the forms and everything else, did you stop making an effort with Caswell County Sheriff's Department to do that?
Yes.
All right. Now, do you recall where upon that chronology that you transferred back to Person County?
Couple months after, maybe. I'm not sure.
Okay.
A month or so.
All right. Well, let me take it through with you. You went into this position in August of 2015, is that right?
Yes.
Okay. So you have worked through August 2016,
Yes.
and you start going to Caswell trying to get that system in the fall of August 2016, is that right?
Yes, I believe so.
And then by November of 2016, you transfer back to Person County, is that right?
Yes.
All
I
right.
transferred back.
And after you transfer back, you continued to work to develop this digital system with the paperless file, is that right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And then when Caswell, you became aware at the first part of 2017, Caswell Sheriff sent a letter refusing to implement digital discovery for Caswell County, is that right?
Yes.
Okay. Now, that's it in the chronology, but I want to back up to where the prosecutor started, this law school issue. When you were working for me in private practice, you did legal assistant jobs, is that right?
Yes, sir.
You were in court, you did discovery, you did it all, right?
Yes, sir.
Isn't it true that you worked with Gail Pete and Pam Bradsher and others in the private practice?
Yes, sir.
Do you recall the campaign where the theme was to bring our private practice to the courthouse to try and start reclaiming the courtroom for the state.
Yes, sir.
All right, you were part of that, weren't you?
Yes, sir.
And as we came into office in 2011, would you describe our office as a hardworking office?
Yes, sir.
All right, and did we interface with law enforcement and start doing controlled buys?
Objection.
I'll give you a little bit of latitude, but it's the relevancy of it is
All right.
limited.
You remember us interfacing with law enforcement and starting to reclaim the streets?
Yes, sir.
All right. Without going into the detail, during that first 4 years of that work, would you go out at 5 in the morning with 100 law enforcement officers to do the drug interdiction?
Did I?
Yes.
Objection.
Sustained.
All right. In your opinion, was the first 4 years successful in our efforts to reduce crime?
Objection.
Sustained.
All right. Was it a hard-working 4 years?
Objection.
Sustained.
Okay. All right, so as we start the second term,
Okay.
would you agree that I implemented a lot of new programs?
Yes, sir.
All right. Isn't it true we started a redemption program?
Yes, sir.
Sustained.
Your Honor, I'd like to be heard.
You'll be given the opportunity, but I'm sustaining the objection.
All right. In 2016, did we have a program of reducing jail population?
Objection.
Sustained.
All right. As you were researching and developing this digital system, did you find that it reduced workload in the DA's office?
Objection.
Overruled.
Yes.
All right. You did discovery before this digital system when it was all paper and bait stamping, is that right?
Yes, sir.
And in terms of once these investment time was made to transition to digital, based on your observation, did it take less man hours and manpower to produce discovery?
It was
Sustained as to his the foundation for any opinion he has on this.
Well, how many years did you process paper discovery in the context of a DA's office?
when we're just doing paper.
Mm-hmm.
Up until the time after I went to Rockingham County,
All right, so
2000.
5 years? 4.5
Short.
years?
4.5 years.
Okay.
Sounds great.
So you had experience processing felony files by paper for 4.5 years, is that right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And you've just described for the jury the 1.5 years spent developing this digital system and paperless file, is that right?
Yes, sir.
Based on your experience of those 4.5 years of paper versus the new system, do you have a basis to give an opinion about the reduction of workload the digital system creates?
Objection.
I'm going to allow the answer, but I'm going to ask you to move on.
Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
As far as it being efficient, it was much more efficient. I can't give you a percentage wise or anything like that. Just know it was a lot quicker, easier, and more efficient.
All right. And the DA asked you about your current position. It is 2018,
Yes, sir.
June, I believe.
Yes, sir.
Has the Person County DA's office continued to engage in the digital discovery system?
Yes, sir.
Has it continued to utilize the paperless file system?
Yes, sir.
All right. And you still work in District 9A, which for the time being includes Caswell County, is that right?
Yes, sir.
Is Caswell County still paper?
Yes, sir.
All right. When you decided that you wanted to go to law school, isn't it true that you came, reported it to me, and indicated that there was some bar regulation that you could not work more than 20 hours? Is that right?
Yes, sir.
And once that was reported to me, do you know that we, of your own personal knowledge, that we contacted AOC and reduced the hours as you needed?
I assume that's what happened.
All right. And then you went to 20 hours and the benefits were reduced to 0, is that correct?
Yes.
And with you working at law school and working 20 hours as a VWLA, you worked at night and weekends, didn't you?
Yes, sir.
And doing the same processing of discovery that you described to the jury as well?
The paper form.
The paper?
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
So in addition to law school, you would go in and work at night and weekends to continue to process the felony files and paper discovery, is that right?
Yes, sir.
And you did that on your own at night and the weekends and logged your hours in?
Yes, sir.
All right. And do you know who was the person that would approve your beacon?
It'd be the AA, the Miss Peed.
All right. And Ms. Peed is the AA top person, admin person in the office, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And you work for District 9A, but you were physically working in Person County, is that right?
Yes, sir.
All right. And Ms. P would not be there necessarily on nights and weekends with you, would she?
No, sir.
Nor would she be in Caswell County during the day when other people are working, is that right?
Correct.
Okay. And she still approved the hours based on your representation of working, is that right?
Sir.
Okay. I will try to ask this. Within the office, 2015, 2016, and you're a Marine, you've been a part of a team before, haven't you?
Yes, sir.
There was a hard-working team in 9A, wasn't there?
Objection.
Sustained.
Thank you, Mr. Henderson.
Yes, sir.
Redirect.
Very briefly, Your Honor. We spent a lot of time talking about digital discovery, right?
Yes, sir.
All right. The only link to that digital discovery that you dealt with in Rockingham County, this form that was brought back.
Correct.
And this one form took a month, and I'm not saying that you didn't work hard on it as was insinuated, but it took a month, right?
Right.
Now, was that month's worth of work that you spent on that form creating the things to put on the form, like writing the form, or was it making it work digitally the majority of the time?
It was basically shaping, dressing up the form, putting the, I want to keep on saying code, but it's not the code, but you know, basically what tells the field, naming the fields and things like that, getting that. Because let's say if you put a name somewhere and you have a field misnamed somewhere else, then 9 pages down, it's going to be wrong down there. So there was those issues that came up.
Digital issues with the form.
Yes.
So a PDF form where it's fillable and you go in and you can
Correct.
tab from section to section, you fill one in and it maybe auto-fills somewhere else.
Correct.
Okay. It wasn't going in and writing on the form itself, or was it? If it was, tell me. discovery checklist, videos, square here, FIR, square here. That already kind of existed, right?
No, I did that one.
Okay. In general.
I deleted their page and then put in our own page.
Okay. But the only link, and I use link, and it's a dangerous word to use when we're talking about digital stuff,
Right.
to Rockingham County. And the only thing that Rockingham County had to do with your digital discovery at that point, in your opinion, was it giving you this initial form to start with?
Correct.
And the entire time that you worked for Rockingham County, or were employed by Rockingham County, you only worked on person or Caswell County work?
Correct.
Okay. No further questions.
I need to follow
Yes,
up
sir.
on that. You were developing a system beyond what existed in Rockingham, isn't that true?
I was basically taking their idea and trying to get our office to not only but mirror that, but then take it even further to where we would law enforcement wouldn't need to come up to our office.
All right, and let's talk about that. Mr. Latour talks about what the Rockingham system was. Isn't it true that was essentially a scanner system with this form as it existed, and they were scanning discovery but still delivering other media items? Is that right?
I believe so.
They weren't on paperless files.
No.
Okay. So you took that system and modified it, and isn't it true, in meeting with law enforcement, started developing interfaces so that these videos and undercover buys and things like that could eventually be transmitted digitally to the office? Is that right?
Through Dropbox, yes.
Okay. And then took it a step further to create paperless files. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
And wasn't the plan to eventually go to when, since you have a paperless file, that instead of putting this, we talked about the Shockley case. You've lugged that around before, haven't you?
Yes, sir.
Instead of having a big Rubbermaid tub of Shockley files and videos and all that, it'd be in a little zip drive, right?
You could, yes, sir.
So that when it came to close the file, isn't it true it was part of the plan to then eventually eliminate the file room to CDs or zip drive storage? Is that right?
Yes, sir.
And do you recall us talking about developing that plan, writing it up and giving it to AOC, even with the proposal that when a DA's office closed a file, that they would send a second copy to AOC so there would be redundancy?
I don't remember the part about sending a second copy to AOC, but I do remember the first part of that.
And while we were in this process, we hit a roadblock in Castle, didn't we?
Yes, sir.
And in terms of fully developing these Dropbox interfaces, we were not able to complete that, were we?
No, sir.
Roxborough Police Department, however, they did in fact go and put in a whole new system for interface, didn't they?
I don't know what they got, but I know that they at a time went digital.
Okay. So Mr. Latour has tried to say to you that, well, it just took Rockingham a little bit, but isn't it true that we were developing a bigger system that could potentially be used statewide?
Say it again.
We were building a bigger system. Rockingham didn't have paperless files. The whole system is something that could be used statewide. Isn't that true?
Yes, sir.
All right. And to give an example, under the paper system, if we wanted to send something to the U.S. Attorney's Office in Greensboro, before digital, you'd have to put the file in the car and drive to Greensboro, right?
Yes, sir.
Under this digital system, if you wanted to send a file to another jurisdiction, it would just be sent by email. Is that correct?
You could, yes, sir.
All right. Since he has talked about this system, I'll ask you a step further. Do you recall there being discovery issues in Caswell in terms of accountability of documents in the file.
Objection.
Again, I'll give you, he can answer the question, but I want to limit the latitude on this line of questioning.
Yes, sir.
Relevance is of concern to me.
All right. Do you recall that?
Yes, sir.
All right. And with the digital system of receiving discovery digitally, is there a footprint to where you can verify that something was received?
Objection.
Overruled.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Whereas receiving paper discovery, it relies on human beings signing a receipt.
Correct.
All right. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, sir. You may step down. All right, it's 10 minutes till 5. I'm assuming you don't have a witness that we can conclude in 10 minutes.
I don't have a 10-minute witness, Your Honor.
Okay. We'll go ahead and recess for the afternoon and resume tomorrow morning at 9:30. Members of the jury, please recall the instructions. Don't talk about the case among yourselves or with anyone else. Don't form or express opinions about the outcome. No media or independent investigation in these matters. No conversations with parties, witnesses, or lawyers. Leave all your materials in the chair. Gather at 9:30 tomorrow morning in the deliberation room. Thank you all very much for your service.